On today's episode of Watch Chair Go, we're gonna turn this $500 Impala into hopefully $1,500. What is going on, guys? I'm Watch Chair Go, and today we're here with this 2001 Chevy Impala LS I bought. It's got the 3800 in it. We were just talking about how much I love 3800s, and this one has a few problems. Let's open the hood. First off, the hood struts are trash. That's problem number one. And second off, here is the accessory belt. So that is sitting right there, and it was actually on the car until I went to back it out of the driveway the other day, and it threw it off. So it's the belt tensioner, according to the old owner. And honestly, I do think it's the belt tensioner. There's quite a bit of play in that thing. You can see it completely wobbles back and forth. And honestly, I think that's it to make this car run. After that, it's gonna take a ton of cleaning, but we're just gonna try to knock it out today. Hopefully it'll be sold by late tonight. So first off, we're gonna start it and then close the hood real fast and pull it up towards the garage. So hopefully I can get a little better access to my tools while we're working on this. But yeah, check out this startup. It has, of course, no power steering, no water pump, no AC, no alternator. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So it's only gonna run for about 30 seconds. And inside this car, you can kind of see why it was $500. It is a mess. Somebody was using it as their construction car and basically just used it as a truck, and they destroyed this thing. So I've got a little bit of work in front of me. I got to get the dash out and back in today, clean the steering wheel, which is probably going to need baby wipes, wipe the doors down, get a little of this stuff knocked out, and hopefully get all of this reseated where it belongs. This fuse, that fuse is good. That's weird. Weird place for it to be sitting. But you can see the seats don't have any rips really, and the interior looks okay. So let's sort out the mechanical issues and then get it cleaned. Also, this thing smells like so many cigarettes, it gives you a headache when you get in it or sit in it with the door closed. And it has to go to Green Lantern to get detailed because I don't want to touch any of this. It's basically biohazard level. The game plan here is pull the alternator off because it seems like that holds the tensioner on, and then pull a few more bolts here. Everything was loose. The old owner was like, oh yeah, you just need to do this, this, and this, and pull off the coolant reservoir, which already all the nuts were off. So we're gonna pull that off real quick. Get that out of here, put it with that belt mess over there. And I've got quite a bit of access to everything in here. So hopefully it's that easy. It looks like maybe 15 bolts or something like that. You know, 3 or 4 on the alternator, 3 or 4 on the tensioner, and who knows what else has to be removed. But let's go get a new tensioner and a belt. So we're headed to O'Reilly's to pick up the accessory belt tensioner and a new accessory belt since that other one's split. And yeah, we're taking the one wheel, why not? It is a perfect day outside, almost hot, but hey, I'm not complaining at all. Gates accessory belt, it's K060919, and the tensioner is 38271. I'll put the links in the description below. Dang it, I missed the perfect wipeout. Oh, you got a big burnout out of it too. Oh yeah, I did. I love it. You're a pro at this for your first time. Later. See ya. Hope you had fun. Oh, look at that, a Tyler Hoover special. Gloves acquired because this is a pretty nasty mess. Honestly, I don't know how it gets like this grime when there's no oil leaks. It's a really bad look. Anyway, got my handy dandy battery terminal wrench here, ratcheting battery terminal wrench, and we're gonna disconnect the battery because we're disconnecting the alternator, and I don't need to have any problems here. So it looks like you'll get really far on this project with just a 13 and a 15. So let's find out just how far that is. Alternator is coming off, I hope. Pop this engine cover off. We need like a 10 with an extension or something like that to get this support off the back of the alternator here. This is coming apart like really easy, almost too easy. So I kind of doubt this car's getting sold today. When things come apart too easy, they've probably already been apart. That came right out. Now to get this last connector off here, which also came right out. Wow. So if you guys want to see something really insane, this tensioner has coolant running through it. So if you look right here, these are all coolant lines that have to be reconnected, and this got far more involved than I ever expected. There's one here on the bottom, one here, and one here, and we have to go through all of these. It looks like, who came up with this? This is the worst tensioner design ever. Here I was all excited about working on this. Suddenly, not anymore. But we're gonna get it knocked out, shouldn't be a big deal. So to get these coolant lines off, you need a 10 to release these rear clamps here. Bust those loose. It's gonna take a lot of wiggling and maybe even a little prying. Okay, you can just wiggle them loose. They came out. Grody old fittings, nasty old coolant in them. Hey, that one came right out. Hey, that coolant looked great. Nice, fresh, green, cool. Once you get the coolant lines out of the way so they're not dumping coolant all over you, you've got 2 more 15s to deal with. One of them is right here. You can easily see it from the top. And it's incredibly tight. We might have to get a 1/2 inch ratchet on here. Here it comes, and then there's one more almost directly under the idler pulley here on the tensioner pulley, whichever one you want to call it. There's that last one in the back you got to find. That's the last bolt on the tensioner, and they are all the same. So you won't have to worry about where each bolt goes. That is not a big deal. Let's get this thing out of there. Pull, wiggle, twist. How do you do it? There's one. Oh yeah. We are dumping coolant. There can't be that much more in there. So we're still working on this, but it got a lot worse very quickly. So while we're working on this, I grabbed a new can of Ozium because I was out, and I'm gonna show you the trick to remove all cigarette smoke. Wait, let me read this again. Shake well, spray for 1 second. Cool. The instructions are what I thought. This smells so bad inside, like cartons of cigarettes. And this stuff is pure magic. It's one of those ones that actually remove cigarette smoke smells. So we're just gonna bomb this car. That is a lot more than 1 second. Get the headliner, floor, everything else, door. That was basically a whole can. Shut the car and don't go back in there for hours. So I was in here just minding my own business, getting my tensioner bracket all swapped out, having a great day. And then I was like, look at that, the cap's missing the power steering reservoir. And then I turned the power steering pump pulley and look at that. It is completely bent and moving side to side. So yeah, it looks like the shaft is just completely shot inside the pump. It looks like the pulley's bent. So we had to go to O'Reilly's and buy a new pump and a new pulley and a cap, and the cap doesn't fit. Well, they didn't have the cap anywhere. It was like special order, quantity on hand, and all the stores was 0. So we ended up buying this Dorman 82581 and taking a pair of wire cutters and cutting the end off it, and it fits perfectly in these GM pumps. So if you need a cap and you're in trouble, this hits the bottom of the pump, but just grab some wire cutters, cut the end off it about 1/4 of an inch, and it fits perfectly. So now I get to pull this pump off, find the lines, get the clamps off those lines, and get back on the road again. On the road again.
Glad you say it, because I was about to start.
Here is our fancy new power steering pump with my custom built cap, and you got a power steering line here and the high pressure power steering line here. So this one should be the return. It's just a nice little clamp. This one is going to screw in, and it's the fun one to get on and off. So let's start tearing this pump apart. 2 bolts right there, and I think that they are 10s. And you'll access those 2 bolts through the pulley. So you're gonna align the pulley to the bolts and get to work. The thing about those bolts, they're actually 13. So you'll need a deep 13, and you're gonna go through the pulley itself. Since I was in here replacing everything at this point, I went ahead and checked the water pump pulley. It seems nice and tight, no play in it. And I checked the AC compressor pulley, which seemed okay as well. So we're gonna go ahead and assume those are working. We just need to get this power steering pump done, get the tensioner back on. Oh yeah, when I bought this car, this guy told me it had an amp kit in it, and I can sell the amp kit, no problem. Those are worth $400. It's got a remote bass control, that's like $120. So that's more like $10. I was like, this is 8 gauge, it's not special. So I didn't say that. I just let him have it. He was really happy about having this is like a $15 eBay amp kit. It's not nice.
My favorite part was he's like, I don't know if you know anything about audio.
I was like, no, don't worry about it. It's interesting, man. Interesting. Oh, I have finagled the return line off the pump, and luckily this whole thing's empty, so there's no power steering fluid to go anywhere. That's always a big bonus. And now I have my flare fitting 16, and we're trying to get this connector off the bottom here. We're having no luck. So hopefully now that I've got it in this position, I can actually pull on it, but I don't have any leverage really, and my hands are covered in oil. So this is just hoping at this point. All right, we had to bust out the jack handle, put it on the flare wrench, and then put all my strength into this to break it off the pump. And we got it loose. I mean, it was a nightmare. A nightmare. Okay, now this thing's just flying all over the place, doing whatever it wants. Yo! I got it. Stupid freaking jack handle. It broke loose, but the nut moved so much I hit myself all the way up and down the face with the jack handle. And that was not exciting in one bit.
But did we get it on film?
No.
Oh, we didn't.
Luckily,
it happened so fast. I didn't
it was like, it was right here, and I pulled up, and it released, and just, oh, full power hit me in the face.
Oh man, I heard the thwing.
I wasn't happy about it. All right, check this out. Here you go, guys. This is what a bad power steering pump looks like. See this? It's tough to show on video, but if you spin it, exciting, right? I can't tell if the pulley's bent, but I know the entire pump is just blown out. Well, that's a $15 core, I guess. Oh, look at that. It's already been changed too. Remanufactured. Okay, this is how you pull a pulley off your power steering pump. Here's the puller. We're gonna put these little clips on there, just like that. Little half moons. And then you put this around your half moons like that. And then you just tighten this down and it will pull the pulley right off for you. So I am gonna go grab some wrenches to turn this, and we're gonna pop this pulley off and see where it's at. Oh man, that thing is tight. There it is. Power steering pulley has been removed. Oh, look at the pump. That is insane. Well, we didn't need a pulley. So let's go ahead and slap this pulley on the new one, and I'll return the unused pulley to O'Reilly's. And now we have our old pulley all cleaned up and ready to install on the new pump. I scrubbing bubbles it, and it looks wonderful. It looks brand new. So plus I don't have to wear gloves to touch it now, which is awesome. So we're gonna take our pulley installer here, get a bunch of thread deep down in this pump, and then we'll get this thing on here. All right, power steering line's cleaned up, and I blew the old nasty power steering fluid out of them, and now we just have to get this high pressure line back on. After one more trip to the store, we got a bunch of power steering fluid. Apparently all of it has stop leak in it now. Even the basic stuff had stop leak, so unfortunately that's going in there. I'm not a big fan of the stop leak stuff, and I also don't think this car is the right one for synthetic. So we are going to refill this bad boy all the way to the top, as far as I can get it filled. And that will put us back to where we were supposed to be on this job, and we can finally put the tensioner back in. And now the all-important tensioner. You have to put these metal elbows in this thing. This one goes like this. They're just O-rings, you just push them in, and the bolts hold the thing on. So be a little bit careful while you push these in there, and the big end goes out on this one. This is the tricky part though. You have to line everything up at once and make these bowl holes work. So here is where it goes into the intake, or the top of the head. That one's lined up. Now for this one. I think we got it. That tensioner is on. Just needs bolted in. Time to cut my zip tie tree. That was rather explosive. Thank you, windshield wipers, for holding me down for a little while there. And I'll throw all these away, and we can put these coolant lines back in their spot. So that one goes right in, no problem. And this one needs to have a little, oh no, it actually went right back where it belongs to. Okay, just kidding. Those dropped right back in. Okay, both of those are in. Put the tins back in to hold them, the little retainer bolts. Now you've got your belt tensioner back on, you've got all your coolant lines back in, you got the coolant lines into the head and into the water pump. All the important stuff's done, but you have to put the alternator back. So to put the alternator back, of course, you have to make sure this connector goes on. Little weather pack connector, snap it in, and that is the easy part there. So now you need to put this one in. This is the super long double-sided bolt with a welded on nut there. This one goes all the way through and down into the bracket. Then this short one goes in the back, and the 3-inch one here goes up here by the tensioner pulley. So you might want to get that one started first. It's super long. So all of our alternator bolts are tight. Don't ever tighten those. They're all going into pot metal or aluminum, whatever it is. It's not exceptionally nice. So you'll want to be careful with that. And now all that's left is getting this battery cable back on. And of course you need a 13 to back up your stud, and you need a 13 on the top. And the last piece of the alternator puzzle here is the support that runs over on top of the valve cover. So that goes right there and then runs over there, and you've got another 10mm bolt that goes in right here. Well, of course, I don't have my serpentine belt routing diagram on this car. Somebody's ripped it off. So I'm going to wing it installing this and assume that it's something like go around the crank pulley, go around the AC, come around this, hit the tensioner, hit the alternator, and then back down around the power steering pump. I mean, it makes sense right there, and I'm just gonna go ahead and try it. Okay, I'll try to put the belt routing diagram on screen right now, but it's crank, water pump, tensioner, back down to power steering, up to the alternator, alternator over to the AC, back to the crank pulley. That's the entire routing. So now we need a 15 right here on the tensioner, and we need, yeah, can you build this bad boy for me? Give me the big lever. Yeah, and I will put this on here.
Ready?
I'm ready. You're gonna need to pull a lot of tension out of that. Don't kill me. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Oh yeah, beautiful. Belt, new belt tensioner, put all the water lines back, and a new power steering pump. All of that is done. And this only took what, 3 hours? It didn't take that long.
No, it actually only took about 4 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty fast, according to what I saw here. All right, let's put this negative battery cable back on and see if this car runs now. We're just gonna go ahead and bet the farm on this and hope that refilling everything works the first time. So, dump this into our coolant neck here. This holds what, 1 gallon?
You can't see the fill lines anymore.
No, it's too dirty. We brought the code reader because this thing is throwing, I mean, every light on the dash is on, so let's see if I can make the key work, and this dash that's all torn out. Okay, reading trouble codes. 1 code. Mass or volume airflow A circuit. And there's a pending code for O2 sensor heater circuit bank 1, but also I'm pretty sure that's because it's only been running for like 2 minutes or something like that. Well, I sure didn't think we'd be headlight troubleshooting. Zach made a good call and he was like, turn the high beams on, and of course I didn't even check that while we were out driving this thing around. So the high beams worked, and if I can get this fuse box cover back in its spot, that would be cool. Oh, that's all it goes. All right, cool. And I've got my meter here, threw it on DC. Let's see if we've got 12 volts at the bulb. 1251. I guess we're gonna go to Walmart and buy some 9006s. Headlights figured out. That's one mountain that's knocked down. And then we had that MAF code. So I was like, yeah, we've got MAF cleaner. We might as well try it. We're going to go ahead and spray down this sensor real quick. This is a cool trick if you ever don't have security torques and you need to get these things off. And I don't know why MAFs even have security torques. They need to come out. So it's just ridiculous people do this. Take a small flatbed screwdriver just like that, put it in between the Torx heads, and then run it down. And of course, you'll break your screwdriver because you don't have very good leverage on that and it needs to be tight. So to either get it on or off, take your Knipex pliers or pliers in general, grab that thing stupid tight, and then just crank it on down the rest of the way. So that is how we got this off without having security torques, because for some reason I never bought a set.
But we're going to.
We are definitely going to now. I'm just trying to go shopping, Zach. Leave me alone.
Dude, yours is baller. Look at mine.
Oh yeah, I got some cool stuff. I think I have a horn, right?
It's actually faster.
Listen to that.
Wait.
All right, go that way.
Oh, no, we gotta get out of the
Hey, can you imagine how fast you guys would get through this store if you...
Exactly.
Heading back from O'Reilly's, finally got some headlights, 9006s, and returned that power steering pulley. Now all that's left is the wheel speed sensor to fix the ABS and traction control and turn off all the other lights on the dash. I went ahead and got this cleaned up. You can see there's still water dripping off it there, and wiped down the interior for the most part. Kind of cleaned everything out. I haven't done the gauges yet, but I did the dash and the plastics. You can see the cup holders aren't nasty anymore. Anyway, we did a lot of wiping, and now, while I was washing the car, I went ahead and used the old scrubbing bubbles trick and sprayed down the engine bay cover and kind of everything in the engine bay, and then you can finally touch it. There's not oil everywhere. So if you guys want to see how I am fixing my wheel speed sensor, I use my weather pack tool here. This is my mess from cleaning the car earlier. I've got my soldering iron. These are the removed weather pack pins. These are the wires I'm extending them with. And then we're gonna go out to the car, strip that, heat shrink this whole thing back together, and then the wheel speed sensor should be fixed. Here are my fixed weather pack terminals with the wires extended. I probably could have replaced them with new weather pack terminals and all of the weatherproofing and everything like that, but I just wanted to make sure everything was similar and put it all back exactly the same. So we're adding about 1 inch of wire, maybe 1.5 inches. And here's what we're adding it to. This is where it ripped off. This is where that was supposed to be sitting. And of course, somebody put this together and didn't clamp that on there where it belongs. There's a little clip that holds the wheel speed sensor out there behind the hub. And you know what? It happens. It's not a big deal. And we're gonna hook this back up and do it correctly. So once this goes back on, there shouldn't be any more problems, and that should solve traction, service traction, and the ABS lights. Here's our soldering actually going on. That one's soldered, this one's about to get soldered. You can see I've got the wires together, and I already have my heat shrink on the wires. Remember that part. And here is my completely spliced and put back together wheel speed sensor, because I wasn't gonna spend $100 on what is obviously already a new hub. Look at that. You can see the hub was recently replaced, and somebody did a terrible job putting it on, I guess. But yeah, check that out. You've got some zip ties holding the plug on, but it's firm. Everything's watertight. It's all got heat shrink on it, and the plug's back in where it belongs, and it does have its clips that keep it out of the CV down there. And the CV looks new. There's a lot of new suspension parts on this. So we're gonna toss the wheel back up on this, get it off the blocks, and go test it out. Somebody used the rear passenger side door as their door handle as their spit cup for their tobacco, so I got that cleaned out. Oh, that was nasty. One of the worst things I've ever done. I brought out like a bucket of dish soap and just kept cleaning everything in here. I just wiped down the whole interior with dish soap and water for probably 1.5 hours, and that was more than enough time on this. I should have taken it to Green Lantern and had them clean it, because for $41 they would have done that in 10 minutes. So I found a phone, I found a charger. Need to go check out this phone, see if it works, if it's any good. It was on track phone, you can see that. Used the scrubbing bubbles to do the engine bay, cleaned all the carpets, found some money, you know, the usual things. It's not gonna be the flip I wanted, that's for sure. Let's get off this parking brake, fire it up, see if the wheel speed sensor code's there. I think we fixed the ABS. Every light is gone except for door ajar, security, and check engine. Well, after all that work, we have one light on the dash. Also, the servo's bad in the tach. Check engine, and that's it. The Impala is finally done. I got the new hood strut. It took an extra day to come in at O'Reilly's, but we finally got that here. And I fixed the misfire, and I figured out what it was. I had a little bit of a hint, because Zach said he saw some sparking from this spark plug boot over to the exhaust header, and I wondered about that a little bit. So I went ahead and replaced that plug, and when I pulled it out, it broke in half. So that probably explains that. And when I got to, I think, the number 6 plug on the back, look what we found. Split all the way down both sides. Then of course the spark discharge goes to the block instead of through the spark plug and into the engine block where you need it to be to light that fire in the cylinder. So I replaced all the plugs, NGK Platinums. We got the Bosches out of there. The Bosches, you know, they were Bosches anyway. So I'm happy to have NGKs in here. The engine bay is clean. Let's see if it starts. Where's the key at here? Got the key in my pocket. Fire it up. Here we go. It starts so much better. It would crank for like, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds before. You might even have to crank and then stop and then crank again and it would fire off. Now it just starts right up as soon as we turn the key. So I'm off to take some pictures and get this thing out of my life forever. And yeah, I'd like to put the dash back together, but it's also not that high on my priority list. It looks like most of the fasteners are missing, and yeah, let's just leave the dash alone and sell it as somebody tried to put a system in and failed, because I'm pretty sure that's what happened. This system is broken. Okay, I have a problem. I don't know if you guys noticed how clean the steering wheel is from yesterday, but it looks incredible. And I put the whole dash back together, fuse panels back in, wires are hidden where they should be for the most part. Head unit's kind of back where it belongs. That, you know, whatever, that's where that's gonna hang out. All this wood trim is broken off. You can see they snapped it right there. So I have no hope of getting that wood trim. It's not in the car or anything like that. Well, this car is not sold yet, but I have to wrap this video up because you guys have to watch it. Do you know how hard it is to sell these domestic cars? That Grand Prix was hard to sell. This was hard to sell. I'm done with these American cars after this, unless I find some flawless ones, I think. Maybe we'll just go back to Honda, Toyota, Nissan. I mean, I know the Wizard's recommendation is to stay away from Nissan, but you find me an Altima or a Maxima and I'm happy. So, this will go away. I don't know when, but I'll try to throw an update in a future video for what it sells for. I listed it for $1,600, I think, hoping to get $1,500. I put a crazy amount of time and a crazy amount of money into this car, and it runs pretty well. I drove it around for like an hour just enjoying it, mostly because I was pretty happy with myself and everything I did on this car. But that is it for today, guys. Please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. We're gonna hope there's power steering, and I know there's no vehicle speed sensor.
I found Amber's ring.
We saw that ring, it's nasty. She put it back.